But if you're constantly measuring your value by minutes, you will never fully step into leadership in a retainer model. Welcome back to the Quiet Leaders Podcast. I'm Molly Maris, and around here, we talk about the kind of leadership that doesn't always get the spotlight, but absolutely runs the business behind the scenes. Today, we're going to talk about a shift that changes everything for the integrators, the OBMs, and those behind the scenes operators. And that is the retainer mindset shift. And not just switching from hourly to a package, but actually shifting how you think, how you lead, how you price, and how you show up as a true partner. I see so many people say, I'm moving to a retainer finally, but then they immediately bring the hourly mindset right into the retainer. And if that's you, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just your brain is used to that kind of mindset, and that's what we've been trained to do. So today, I'm going to walk you through how to stop selling time and start selling outcomes, why alignment is a non-negotiable, what to do when the work feels messy, especially at the beginning, and how to handle pricing without discounting yourself into a nightmare client. So let's dive right on in. Now, why retainer is not just a pricing change. When somebody moves to a retainer, but they're still asking themselves, did I spend too much time this week? Am I losing money on this client? Should I stop working because I hit my hours? And that right there is the key giveaway. The retainer model is not meant to be hourly thinking with a different label. A retainer is a partnership. It's your client paying a consistent fee each month because they trust you to solve problems, move the business forward, create structure, and help them reach goals. So the shift is simple, but it's not as easy as it sounds, easier said than done. We stop thinking in terms of time, and we start thinking in terms of impact. So instead of saying, or thinking, how long is this going to take me? We start asking, did this move the business forward? Did I solve a problem? Did I create progress towards the 90-day plan? Because that is what they're paying for. And yes, of course, we still need boundaries. We still need sustainability. But if you're constantly measuring your value by minutes, you will never fully step into leadership in a retainer model. Now, a big reason the 2 to 3 client model works so well is because you're not trying to juggle 8 clients you don't even like. You're choosing a small number of businesses that you actually care about. Alignment matters because when you are aligned, you're not nickel and diming your own effort. You're not resentful every time a Slack message comes in, and you're thinking like, what's the next best move? Not, another task. And even with aligned clients, things can still feel heavy sometimes, and that's normal. And when things start to feel draining, I usually ask myself, can I delegate this? Can I systematize this? Can we improve the process so it stops being that draining energy type of task? And that is leadership. That's how you protect the partnership and protect yourself. Now, here's something that not enough people talk about when it comes to retainers, and it's that retainers create flexibility. Some weeks you'll work more, some weeks you'll work less. It truly does ebb and flow. But overall, you do know the income you're bringing in. So for example, if you have 2 retainers at $2,500, you know you're going to be bringing in $5,000 a month. And that stability gives you control over your life. So it might look like taking your kids to the park on a weekday, running errands midday, scheduling appointments without stressing, working a little on the weekend if you want to. And your clients usually don't even know when you're doing the work. They just know it's going to get done. And that is part of the value exchange, not just the work itself. It's the reliability, the consistency, the calm. So I'll say this a lot. When you are doing a retainer, it's more than just an exchange of money. You're also getting that flexibility, that freedom, and also the fulfillment piece, because if you're working with aligned clients, you are going to be fulfilled. Now, I do also want to normalize something, because the beginning of a retainer can be messy. And it's because you're just learning the business. There's a lot of things that live inside the visionary's head, and you're solving problems that likely have never been addressed. But one of the most powerful things that integrators bring is the calm to the chaos. So even when it feels messy behind the scenes, and you see that, you see all the craziness going behind the scenes, your client doesn't see that. Instead, what they often feel is relief, is clarity, momentum, support. Now, I've had clients rave about my work during a season where I truly was like, are you sure? Because it's a disaster behind the scenes. But they weren't experiencing the mess. They were experiencing the leadership. So often I see integrators doing way more than they should be when they start with a client or they move to retainer. It's because we see what's happening behind the scenes, but really the value that we're bringing isn't that we're managing all the things to make it perfect. Instead, we're bringing that calm, we're bringing that clarity, the relief, the momentum, the support that the visionary desperately needs. And that's enough. That is enough. We don't need to be doing all the things. Now, I do want to address some red flags that you want to watch out for, because if you have a client who is constantly asking, what did you do with your time? Why did this take so long? Can you respond immediately? Can you track every minute and document every task? That's usually a sign that you're not in an aligned partnership. True visionary partners are going to understand your role, and that it's to move the business forward, not justify why you're on the team or what you're doing. But of course, there are exceptions. Sometimes things are urgent and we have to fix it. But overall, the relationship should feel collaborative, not micromanaged. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I often see when people switch to retainers, because I have definitely made this mistake a few times, is that once you get on a discovery call and you hear, I'm not sure I'm ready. This does feel kind of like a big investment. I'm not sure if I can afford it. Our brains immediately go to, maybe I should lower my rate so they say yes. The answer is, do not do that. Your rate should never be based on what you think someone is willing to pay. Instead, your rate needs to be based on the value you bring, the level you operate at, and what creates a sustainable, aligned partnership for you. Because when you discount yourself to win the client, you're not actually winning. Instead, these are usually the most challenging clients to work with, because they're going to question more. They're going to need more reassurance. They're not a full yes. And you're going to feel that every week you work with them. We want those yes clients, the heck yes people, not the maybes that you have to convince. Your job on a discovery call or a consult call, whatever you call it, is not to persuade, it's not to convince. Instead, your job on the discovery call is to determine alignment. Alignment in the mission, expectations, values, how they lead, how they operate, and whether you can truly be a partner to them. And then there's one of three things that will happen. They're either going to be a yes, they're going to be a no, or they could be a not yet. And all of these outcomes are okay, but lowering your rate, that's what's going to cost you. So we are playing for the heck yes people. And as I say, it goes back to the 2 to 3 model. You only need 2 to 3 clients, you guys. So don't rush it. Don't take on the people who you have to convince. Now, the not yet people may be a heck yes, but there may be some things that they do actually need to wait on in order to move forward, and that's okay. Those people, just keep that connection, build the relationship, and they'll be ready. Or they'll come in at the perfect time. That's usually how it works. I want to leave you with the same reflection question that I just asked on one of my coaching calls, and that is, how would you show up differently with your clients if you fully shifted from time to impact? And now don't try to overhaul everything overnight. You want to create small steps, small shifts, and that's how you build this muscle. The small actions are going to lead to those big results. So if this episode really hit and you're realizing you've been trying to build a retainer business while still thinking like an hourly operator, this is exactly what we work on inside of the certification program. This is where we help you step into leadership, to clarify your integrator identity, to communicate your role without over-explaining, to price from value and alignment, to land aligned retainer clients, and build a business that supports your life, not consumes it. And right now, I am offering a special cohort price for $1,000 off, which brings the price to $2,500. Now, this cohort discount deadline goes through March 22nd. So if you want the details, you can head to the link in the show notes, or you can book a next steps call and we can determine if this is the next best step for you. Because you don't need more noise, you don't need more clients. Instead, you need aligned partnerships, clear outcomes, and the confidence to lead. All right, friend, thank you for listening to the Quiet Leaders podcast. If you loved this episode, please share it with another behind the scenes leader who's ready to stop selling hours and start leading like a partner. I will see you in the next one.